Dear colleagues of Prosecutor General's Office of Cuba, and ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to convey my greetings to participants of this event. Also, I would like to extend my warmest gratitude to our counterparts of the Republic of Cuba for successfully organizing the 14th International Meeting on the theme of Science of Criminal Law and second event of Legality and Law Society. The issue of criminal liability of legal entities is one of the most debatable discussions in the field of combating crimes. Indeed, just half of a year ago in Mongolia, legal entities had become criminality liable for crimes due to policy of decisions. However, the implementation and efficiency of that punishment in practice is not yet clear. Since Mongolia is a country which belongs to civil law tradition, the Mongolian criminal justice system has resisted addressing criminal liability for corporations under the idea that a corporation itself could not be criminally liable. Only individual offenders are criminally liable. However, Mongolia's current corporate crime situation and further trends of crime resulting harm demanding corporate criminal liability. For this reason, the lawmakers' proposal to corporate criminal liability into 2017 into the criminal code. Comprehensive reform that covered a whole extent of social life which began in 1990 required simply the transition of Mongolia's economy to the market economy and improving economic relations. In fact, social relation of market economy and the environment of sustainable development had not constituted in Mongolia during the last 20 years. At the same time, new trends of crime existed in a hidden way, while the subject frame of criminal conduct has widened. It was required not just to establish effective criminal justice mechanism to catch the negative impacts of the criminal offense, and also Mongolia has a duty by the international treaties and conventions. Indeed, it is obvious to find our real culprit behind many crimes conducted during the last few years and punish and to fight against new types of crimes, such as companies' activity to pollute, destroy natural environment, high-profile cases such as economic fraud, transnational organized drug trafficking, human trafficking, and terrorist attacks. Since traditional theory of subject of crime and principle of charging individuals for criminal conduct would make some risks, such as to leave alone a real culprit but impose sanction of someone who appears on the ultimate point of a big network which conducted criminal offense to become impossible to confiscate criminal proceeds and profit, to lose opportunity to compensate or for damage accordingly, and cannot reveal a group who manage the organized terrorist attacks or crimes and stop its institutionalized activities. There was no other option for Mongolia to make its traditional and simple, reasonable concept and position is changed in that way. Within this framework, and based on monitoring and research about the outcome of the crimes related to ecology, land, finance, or budget and economic crimes, the discovery and judicial decisions for the last 10 years in Mongolia, the study of reasonable circumstance and structure of trend of conduct with feature of offense and crimes against legal entities, an issue of imposing criminal liability or legal entities has been regulated in newly edited Criminal Code of 2017. Under criminal justice of Mongolia, the corporate criminal liability was demanded following conditions. First, the number of criminal activities committed by corporation has been increasing, and harm caused by corporate immorality has been widely spread among society and citizens. And 2, administrative sections of corporate wrongdoing was show or no or little effect on the corporations. And 3, in case of crime has committed by a legal person, it is difficult to identify a person who is liable to corporate wrongdoing. Even sometimes it is impossible to determine who really did the criminal act. And 4, ineffective liability mechanism incentivize companies to commit a crime. And 5, in case a legal person is criminally liable, condition for recovering damage or loss caused by criminal conduct of the legal person would be provided. The Parliament of Mongolia adopted newly revised criminal code in 2015 and amended some amendment in 2017, which includes corporate criminal liability under the Chapter 9 imposing punishment on legal entity. The justification in imposing punishment on legal entities is determined as follows. A, the official who has the right to represent legal entity made a decision alone or jointly which satisfies of the nature of the crime. And B, act of inaction for the legal entity's interest which satisfies the nature of the crime. In other words, both of the governing authorities and joint decision which is issued by legal entity shall be taken into consideration when legal entity to get to be imposed by criminal liability. Also, criminal responsibility of legal entities could be imposed if the crime was committed of the benefit of the legal entity. In addition, in the Criminal Code of Mongolia, criminal punishment could be imposed to the official who has the right to represent the legal entity if he or she made decision on behalf of and for interest of the entity and let others to conduct crime or committed by crime his or her own act or inaction for the benefit of the legal entity. Obviously, it helps to eliminate condition of possibility to misappropriate the punishment. If the criminal code was committed on behalf of and for interest of the entity, then the certain individuals shall be released from punishment and the entity will be responsible for the crime. Moreover, if the above conduct contains the future of another crime, then criminal punishment would be imposed for the action or inaction which would be considered as conditional to deny the future of the crime. We have divided the charging of a legal entity into 3 parts that included penalty, disqualification, dissolution, and stipulated to be effective the level of the penalty to be higher than that on infringement and disqualification to restrict the right to conduct certain types of activities or disqualify specific rights and lessons had been granted. Under the framework of the responsibilities undertaken in front of the international community, it had been stipulated that enterprise would be dissolved in the act of committing terror or the preparation to commit terror. It is also stipulated that the court has the right in the act of dissolving an enterprise to confiscate its assets and extend it to pay the damage caused by the crime and allocation the rest of the funds to the state budget. The Criminal Code of Mongolia regulates 24 crimes such as economic crimes, crimes against public security, crime against judicial process, crime against environment, and crime against humanity. The issue of charging legal entities is become one of the issues that must be addressed in the real of the Mongolia state's criminal policy, and this issue is of prime importance in improving corporate accountability in the market society to improve its effectiveness, business ethics, and protection of the environment. To increase the chance on charging legal entity and producing real outcome, and under the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, or the Palermo Convention, a special unit financial action task force and international cooperation review group that had recommended Mongolia and placed it into this on the second stage of its review on the system of combating money laundering and terrorism financing. Since law operates so far, legal entity had not been charged and it's a pressing issue that we have little experience in making a criminal case separate from the individual, have to investigate, and who would be indicted on presenting the legal entity. However, this kind of issue is not only our problem. Even for countries that had included new status for charging legal entity, an effective method and mechanism to investigate crime committed by a legal entity, to impose a sentence, and its implementation have not been found. Perhaps there are many good examples that we have not studied, and it is very difficult to implement in countries of continental law system. In the future, I invite countries to jointly implement and support activities such as countries exchanging expertise, exchange specialists and experts, conduct joint training and workshops for lawyers and corporate criminal liability. In conclusion, may I wish the best success for the proceedings of the meeting and express our firm commitment to support outcomes from the meeting. Thank you for kind attention.